Hey, what's up everyone? Today we're going to be talking about how to decide if you should hire a general contractor for your remodeling project. Obviously, this is probably a pretty self-explanatory process, but it also can be stressful because you're trying to balance the results you're going to end up with for your remodel versus the amount of money you're spending. Hopefully this is helpful in helping you decide that. Some factors that you want to consider. So number one, project size and complexity. And you're balancing that with your time and your availability and skill level. So project complexity. Are you going to be moving walls or dealing with load bearing, either columns or walls? Removing drywall, putting new drywall, painting, removing tile, floor. If you're doing flooring, what type of floor is it? Is it tile? Is it laminate? Is it something else? There's so many different things that go into a project. So if you are doing a full gut job where you are taking it to the studs, or even if you are doing removing and replacing your floors, think through the complexity. The next thing is time and availability, meaning how much time do you have to commit to this? If you have a full-time job and you're trying to do this on nights and weekends, do you have a family? Do you have responsibilities, church things, other social responsibilities that you will have to deal with? It's important to take that all into consideration, because I promise you, if you're going to try to DIY a project, or even if maybe you're hiring pros to do all the work, but you want to be your own GC, your own general contractor, and find all the subcontractors, get all the quotes, organize it all, make sure everything happens on time and on schedule, and coordinate all the different moving parts of a job, that takes a lot of time. A lot of time meeting with people, going over details with them, going through proposals, and making sure that all the materials are ready and the schedules are all ready. It's a lot of work. So do you have the time and availability to handle that? Right? And obviously budget considerations would be something as well. So if you do have the budget to go ahead and hire a general contractor, but maybe you just want to try to do it for your own experience, that may be a valid reason. If you really don't have the budget for a general contractor, but you maybe have the budget for the rest of the project, you still may want to consider holding off and not doing it until you can afford a general contractor, just because there are so many moving parts in a large remodel where you're taking it to the studs, you're doing everything. There's so many different trades that need to come in and get the work done. So it is something that even if financially it makes sense, you still may want to hire a general contractor. Another factor is going to be permits and regulations. Are you familiar with your city, your county, and the different permits that are required, and the timeline it takes to get those approved, and the paperwork it takes, and how to fill that out correctly? There's a lot that goes into that as well. And that's something I don't mess with. I don't do anything that requires a permit because I just simply, I'm not an expert at that. I don't want to get into it. So it's something that, again, I would recommend what you're doing as far as permits are concerned first. Now, you don't know it till you try it, but just know mistakes are going to be made. Things are going to get pushed back. Try to account for that as much as you possibly can. Now, there's a different range of things. There's a lot to be said for putting together a plan and executing that plan yourself. I think that's a great objective to have. It's a great goal to have, and it's a great experience, honestly. But it also can be a nightmare if you really don't have the willingness to learn the things you don't know right now, the time to do that, and just general availability of your schedule with all the other things you have going on. It's definitely important to take all that into consideration. I'd say for most people, hiring a general contractor is probably the way to go. They already have all the contacts, they vetted the subcontractors in most cases, they understand how construction works, they most likely have construction experience, and they know how houses are put together, they know how remodels go, and they know what to plan for and what to look out for. They know to ask the questions and to consider things that you won't know because you don't have that experience, right? It's a lot cheaper to plan ahead for mistakes and either avoid them or get a solution for them before they happen. A general contractor is going to know a lot of that stuff. They're going to help save you a ton of time and money. Even though general contractors do have a stigma, and it's true, you almost always never are on schedule. Meaning whatever timeline you originally agreed to with the contractor, it's probably going to get pushed back. And some of it is unavoidable. They're working as closely as they can, and it just sometimes takes a while. Also, if you are going back to the studs and you're not thinking about mold, but then when you pull drywall off, you have mold everywhere, that's something that you didn't expect, and now you have to handle it. And it's gonna cost a lot, thousands in some cases. Try to plan ahead for those as much as possible. And a good general contractor will do that. Now, they're not perfect, and they can't plan ahead for every possible contingency or surprise. They do get surprised as well. But as frustrating as that can be sometimes, just know that just having them there helped you avoid a lot of problems that never popped up because they planned ahead. So that's important. Recommendations are my advice as far as if you want to go ahead and GC your own project. It is just make sure you try to build in as much buffer as you can when it comes to your schedule and your budget, because things will pop up. Things will mess up your schedule. They will come in more expensive, and mistakes will be made that cost money to fix. So it's important. Just make sure you plan some buffer in, some contingency, money and time. If you do end up deciding to general contract your own job, just know that you most likely, it's gonna be way harder than you think. It's just gonna suck up a lot of your time and energy, and you just feel like you're pulled 1,000 directions all the time until the project's over. So be prepared for that. If you don't want to deal with that, hire a general contractor. Now, how to find a good general contractor if that's the route you decide to go? I would say meet with them in person. Try to get a sense, a gut reaction of what type of person they are. This is not the most scientific way to decide, and it's really not the only thing you need as far as, you know, how to make it. It's not the full picture of how to make a decision, but I think it's an important step. Do you like them? Do you feel comfortable around them? Do you feel like they're being honest? Do you think that they're telling white lies every now and then? Do you think you get a sense that they are not giving you all the information, or being wishy-washy, or just something's off and you're not sure what? Pay attention to that. I think that oftentimes is something that's a sign, and sometimes you trick yourself into going with someone you didn't feel comfortable with just because you think, well, I don't know, maybe this is just how it is. Well, there's a lot of contractors out there, so talk with a few if you don't feel good about the first one. Another tip is I would probably get at least 2, maybe 3 estimates for the project. And when you're going through that sales process with a general contractor, ask questions. Ask, what should we expect? What's your estimated timeline? And then ask them, I understand that's the estimated timeline, but in your experience, I understand things go wrong. I'd rather know ahead of time. How much contingency time would you allot? Would you say we should plan on an extra month just in case? They don't know, but they have a general sense of it better than you do. So it's worth asking and finding out those answers. What you'll notice is the general contractors that you're gonna have a better experience with, they're not afraid to tell you bad news in the sales process. A lot of times people, they're trying to close a sale. Contractors are trying to close the job, right? Or the project manager, whoever you're dealing with within the contracting company. They want to get that sale. They want to close the deal. I'm not accusing anyone of lying, but it's not in their best interest to warn you about how bad things can get, right? And so they have what we call commission breath, where they're just trying to close the deal and then let the chips fall where they may afterwards. I would say I'd be cautious of that. If someone is telling you only good news, it's only going to be this amount of time, we can do it for this amount of money, and it's all falling in perfectly with what you were hoping for, or maybe better than what you were hoping for, I would be a little skeptical. If they're volunteering information saying, hey, listen, my crew is actually probably 5 or 6 weeks out, that's someone who's being honest with you. If they're saying things like that, helping to prepare you, helping you to be more educated on the process and what you need to be watching out for, the risks involved, that's a great contractor. That's someone I would trust, and that would mean a lot more to me than cheapest price, for example, because cheapest price oftentimes means their job that they care about the least. If you try to negotiate them down on price, say, hey, I need you to be here, and then I'm in. If they come down on price, that means they're making less money on your job than they usually make on other jobs, right? Because other people are just saying yes to their original proposal. Because of that, it's bad to say this, but your job may be the least important job to them. That's something to definitely think about. Price is important, you want to get within budget, but sometimes that means you just need to wait. Just wait to do your project. You're just not quite ready financially for it. That's okay. Or to reduce the scope of the project to something that's within your budget. And that's totally fine. And a great contractor will help you with that process and help you say, well, listen, we could avoid this, still get 80, 90% of what you're hoping for and get great result for this much less. So work with them on that. Keep in mind, a good contractor will probably not send you an estimate with every single thing priced out, meaning every screw, every bolt, every part priced out in the proposal. Good contractors, they know their time's valuable and they value their skills and their expertise. And because of that, they are not going to share with you all of the costs of every little thing. The reason that's really important is they've run into customers in the past that have really tried to nickel and dime them. So don't be mad if they don't itemize everything on the proposal, because it's in your best interest, to be honest. It's going to make the entire experience better. And there are contractors that will do that, but again, to me, if you're that type of person where you're going to nickel and dime and try to pull your own guys in for some of the job to get a better price, and you're just really trying to get the absolute lowest price possible, you probably shouldn't hire a contractor. You should probably try to do it yourself, because it's going to be frustrating for you, frustrating for them. They're not going to make the money they really should have made on the project, so it's not going to be as attractive of a project for them. And you really want everyone to be excited and happy to do it. There's a lot of things to consider when you're thinking about, should I hire a general contractor? And I would say general contractors, make sure you get a good one that comes highly recommended, that you feel good about, that the price is in the range for you, or that they're at least willing to help you figure out where you can give and take to get within budget range. General contractors are extremely helpful to a project, but it might not be the right choice to hire one. In your case, just depends on your specific, what you care about and your situation. With all that being said, definitely appreciate you watching. Subscribe if you wouldn't mind. It would definitely help us out a lot. And looking forward to learning more about your project when the time comes. All right, have a good one. Bye.